What's up, everybody? Jeremy Gerard from Mythic Customs here with a little bit of a different video today. Today we're going to do something of an action figure review, which is not something I normally do. To that end, if you're used to watching action figure reviews like, say, Alberto and his powerful Mythic Legions reviews, or even like Dorklayer and the reviews they do, this is going to be a little bit different. Those reviewers are awesome. That is absolutely what they do. They show the packaging, they open it up, they show all the articulation, every aspect of the figure. This is not going to be one of those. I don't even have the packaging for the figure I'm going to review. I simply wanted to talk about this figure because I have seen a number of people in the Mythic Legions community asking about this, trying to figure out if it works well with Mythic Legions and if it was worth the purchase. And what I'm talking about is this large-scale skeleton behind me. Now, we're going to kind of do the review a little bit in reverse. I'm going to show you how I've customized this skeleton, and then I'll pause the video, kind of strip him down, take off the armor that I've added to him so you can see what it comes like out of the box, and we can talk about the figure and whether or not it may be worth your purchase. So this 12-inch scale skeleton, which is actually a metal body, is by a company called COO Model, C-O-O Model. I bought this from Big Bad Toy Store. I should point out this is not a sponsored post. They didn't send me this for free to review or anything like that. Like many Mythic Legions fans, I bought this for my own collection, and I'm just deciding to talk to you about my impressions of it. I got it very, very specifically because I wanted to create this piece here. It's not a cheap figure. It's about $94 from Big Bad Toy Store before shipping and tax. But I wanted to use it to create this kind of samurai type skeleton. More specifically, it's a monster called a Gashadokuro. So that translates to starving skeleton, and it's a creature from Japanese folklore. If you've ever seen the movie Kubo and the Two Strings, and by the way, if you haven't seen the movie Kubo and the Two Strings, go watch it because it's awesome. But there's a scene in there where Kubo and his companions, they encounter this gigantic monstrous skeleton. That is a Gashadokuro. It's also, if you're a fan of Mezco toys and you have the Gomez Lone Roach and Grub set, the design on the back of his coat is this Gashadokuro skeleton monster as well. That depiction is actually from a very famous Japanese woodcut that depicts that monster. When I was building my series of Mythic Legions customs that were inspired by samurai and Japanese culture, I called them my Mythic Shogun series. I actually kind of did one of these. So I did this figure here, which uses a 2.0 skeleton soldier base with some armor from an articulated icons figure. And I did the trick on mine where I used the back adapter to add 4 arms to it. When I built this, I called it a Gashadokuro because I wanted it to be this like Japanese skeleton monster. But I did so knowing that normally these creatures are depicted much, much larger. They're gigantic skeletons. This worked for me as a fill-in. But when I saw this 12-inch scale skeleton, I got to thinking, well, I wonder if this would make for a cool alternative for the Gashadokuro. So I picked this up and I outfitted him with some also 1/6 scale or 12-inch size samurai armor that I found online. Very, very cool. I like the way it looks, but I do have some concerns about the figure itself. Now, I do like the display of it. It's a neat toy. I'm happy I have it in my collection. It's actually grown on me a little bit, but there are some concerns I have about that. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pause this for a minute. I'm going to get him back to his original format, and then we'll come right back. Okay, and we're back. This is this figure without any of the armor that I had placed on him. Pretty bare bones, no pun intended, but it's just meant to be a skeleton, so that makes sense. Again, this is a fully metal construction on the figure here. He does come with a couple extra hands. Some of the hands are plastic. They're not actually metal. He does come with a few really straight ones. He comes with a couple gripping ones. You can put a weapon in his hands. It's not a real tight grip. It would have to be a pretty light weapon. He does also come with a bit of a gimmick where the back of his head comes off and he came with this like little brain. It's kind of a silly little piece. I don't know what's the point of it. I don't use it like that at all. But if you need a brain accessory, that might be cool. Now, some things you should know, this is not a heavily articulated type character. You know, it's got movement at the arms and at the legs. It's got a little bit of elbow movement. The waist here, looks like there's an articulation point. This doesn't move very, very much. It's a little bit disappointing from that regard. As is, it is kind of plain. You're going to want to put some armor on it, certainly. I do dig the way it looks with the samurai armor. I actually like the fact that the samurai armor is a little too big for it, so it kind of hangs off. You would definitely have to find some armor for it. I think one of the challenges is going to be it stands 12 inch tall, but because it is so thin, because it is a skeleton, if you use any 1/6 style armor, it's just going to be, you know, absolutely swimming on him. Which, again, that may make sense because if you're thinking about this as being maybe like a half giant or something, the skeleton of a character that when it had flesh and bone and muscle, or it's got bone, when it had flesh and muscle and everything, the armor would be bigger anyway. So, I mean, maybe that makes sense for you. I will say that for the $95 price tag, I was a little bit disappointed. It displays cool. I think I said already that it grew on me a little bit once I had him on display, but my initial reaction out of the box was I was not that impressed. I think I've gotten spoiled by figures like Mythic Legions, by Mezco figures, the amount of articulation that we get in them. Even though this is metal, that price tag of $95 puts it at kind of a higher level price point for me, where I think I did have some higher expectations. Because of the really thin nature of it, it doesn't stand horribly, but you're gonna have to find that balance point. Once you get it standing, it does stand pretty well. Because it's metal, you don't deal with, like, you know, plastic just kind of getting a little warm in your display area and just falling over. I haven't had any falls with it. If you are concerned about that, you could certainly use a stand of some kind. The fact, like I said, that the hands don't really grip a weapon means it is going to be a little bit hard. You're probably going to end up needing to use a weapon that maybe you can lay on the ground with it or something. You know, I have this samurai style sword that I have for him. And I mean, it works. I find that over time, because the joints here there is a little plastic there, over time I did find that it lowers a little bit. It doesn't hold its pose as much. So it is a cool figure. If you're looking for something to add, something to fudge into your display, the detail is there. The paint applications on it do look good. When I compare it to Mythic Legion's figures, it does, I think, look aesthetically correct. There are certainly some figures that I think aesthetically, if you put them side by side with Legions, they just stand out as not being appropriate. That's not the case here. I think this does fit. So ultimately, am I bummed that I got it? No, because I do dig having that armor on it. I think it's an interesting display character. It's more in line with the Gashadokuro monster that I was trying to create in the first place. Not that I'm not going to keep that one as well, because that thing looks really cool. But I do like the fact that I have it. I don't regret buying it, but I would tell anyone considering picking one up to set your expectations accordingly. If 95 is too much for you, keep your eyes out. I don't know if these things ever go on sale. This is actually the first COO models figure that I have. I think I probably have some accessories from them that I've picked up in lots and stuff over time to use for customs, but this is the first full figure that I have, so I can't tell you from experience whether they often go on sale or not. But certainly you can keep your eyes out. Maybe someone will be getting rid of them down the road cheaper. If it was closer to like a $50 figure, my impression of it and the value of it would be totally, totally different. But as is, fun character. Again, COO models, skeleton figure. If you just go to Big Bad Toy Store, you look up COO models, you should be able to find it. If you enjoy videos like this, well, I don't usually do videos like this. I don't do video reviews. But if you enjoy me rattling on about Mythic Legions and customizing figures and all the stuff around that hobby and that community, let me know by subscribing. Let me know by telling me in the comments that you enjoyed this video. Certainly, if you have any questions, you can put those in the comments as well. Other than that, if you use any of my ideas and you post them, tag me in it because I can't wait to see what you make.